All right, guys, Randy with Pete's RV TV here today. We're going to bust another myth today. The myth we're going to investigate today are all campers good for all weather camping. So we're going to see if how cold we can take these things down to. Let's go. So when thinking about using an RV in colder climates, I think about the RV construction. There's a couple different flavors out there. There's one with a corrugated metal side, which we'll take a look at, as well as the fiberglass side here. And so to give you an idea of what this wall looks like, this is pretty much what a fiberglass sided camper wall looks like. This would be the exterior, same as we're seeing here. And then on the interior, we can see it laminated together. We've got a little bit of wall board, some fiberglass here, and then about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches of solid insulation, and then another wall board on the inside. And again, that's what this wall would look like. So this is going to give better heat retention than some of the other products in the market, and that would be on the fiberglass sided camper. All right, so one of the other things that I think of when I'm thinking about maybe using my RV in a colder climate, and a decision you have to make, is whether I'm going to leave the incoming water supply hooked up to the outside of the unit, which would be in here, because it's very susceptible to cold air and freezing. Obviously, we can use some heat tape on that water supply, but this is also very cold as well. I've even seen some people go as far as building something around that and heating this whole area. So incoming water supply may be something you want to think about. You may also want to think about using your water pump and having water inside the unit. So this would be an aluminum sided camper, a little bit different than the fiberglass sided camper that we just looked at, and we'll see kind of the exoskeleton of this one here in a moment. But this guy here is going to have an aluminum siding on the outside. It's going to have batt insulation, so the roll of insulation on the inside, unlike that hard styrofoam insulation of the fiberglass camper. And then it'll have the interior wall board, so a little less insulation or value than we do see in the fiberglass sided camper. So can it be done with this camper? Absolutely, but you're going to lose heat a little bit quicker in this camper. All right, guys, when I'm thinking of camping in colder climates, this is some of the things that I think about that are going to tell me how much work it's going to be for me to camp in the weather that I may want to camp in. So this particular camper here in our very busy shop was actually hit by a tree, but it's a great place how we can see the inner workings of an RV and what the walls look like. So looking at this particular camper, I'm looking at about 1.5 inch thick wall. It would have insulation in here and obviously an interior and exterior wall board. But it's a lot different than the walls in my house. So again, this is where I think when I am using my RV in some inclement weather, a little bit colder climates, I may have to work a little bit harder with this information. That's going to help me make the decisions a little bit better. All right, so if you live in the Northeast like I do, you probably have a basement underneath your house. And we do that for multiple reasons, a lot to do with the frost line and things moving around. But the one really good thing that it does do is it gives us a buffer, so it doesn't allow air to get underneath our house. Our house is 8 feet in the ground below that frost line. With an RV, we have constant air moving underneath the RV, so another place for heat loss. So if you're going to be set up permanently in your RV through colder climates, we strongly recommend skirting the RV to keep that air from moving out from underneath and drawing that heat out. You may even want to heat that area with something safe to keep the underneath of your RV and your tanks working properly through those cold climates. So inside an RV, and again, there's lots of people that do camp in colder climates, but one of the things that I think about as you're watching the smoke or the steam from my voice is the furnaces in any RV are intended to be typically used through the summer months and just take the chill off in the mornings or the evenings. So if we're using those full time, that's going to tax that furnace pretty good. I strongly recommend having a supplementary heat source, maybe an electric heater or some sort of other heat source other than just that RV heater that it comes with, just because if there's a failure there, you want a backup plan that works very quickly. All right, so one of the decisions that I make when I do cold weather camping is whether I'm going to bring water into the unit or not. Sometimes I do, knowing that my pipes on the outside need a little bit of attention and I might need some heat tape, as earlier mentioned, on that incoming water supply. Sometimes you do not use water if I'm going to be in really cold weather or I'm going to be away from the camper, where if I lose heat, I do not want to have to worry about my water system freezing. So one of the things that I strongly recommend is making sure that you can winterize your RV at a moment's notice. That way, if you get a heat loss or something comes up, you can winterize that RV and walk away from it and not worry about damaging any of the components on it. if you are using your RV without water, one of the things that I personally do is when I use the toilet, I will flush with antifreeze, so that keeps anything that goes down into that toilet tank from freezing, so I can evacuate it when I do have a chance, and I don't have to have any incoming water supply to worry about freezing while doing so. All right, guys, so back to the first question on this myth. Are all campers good for all weather camping? I am gonna say yes, but it's gonna determine where you're using that camper, as well as how much work that you wanna do to keep that camper warm inside and potentially keep it from freezing so you don't hurt any of the appliances inside. So I think this myth has been busted. You definitely can use campers in all weather. You just might have to work a little bit harder at it.